players both at 8 and 2. The big hits then for Richard Cox. He has those Chalice of the Void, 2 copies of Umezawa's Jitte, and you mentioned 2 Walking Ballistas. You're right, that does seem great against elves.
Yep.
Though he's on 6 cards, Andrew Jessup takes the play, starting off on Nettle Sentinel. These stompy decks, which is really the tradition Colorless Eldrazi comes out of, they are not a brainstorm deck, so a lot of it's in their opener. And here we see Eldrazi Temple, Simian Spirit Guide. That turn 1 Chalice of the Void for 1 does hit.
Mm-hmm. And this is one of the primary reasons you wouldn't play Brainstorm in Legacy. It's because you're playing Chalice of the Void.
Boom, that's going to hit another square for me. This means, Ryan, if we ever get a sneak attack Emrakul, I win twice.
Yikes.
I think I get double points for that. You know, on the leaderboard.
And you see just how good Chalice is there. Jessup attacks with his Nettle Sentinel and casts Deathrite Shaman into it, gets it countered because he has to untap this Nettle Sentinel.
So that, to me, I feel like he'd only make that play if his deck didn't have Reclamation Sage in the main deck. You know, if that to me, he's saying, I will never remove this Chalice. So this is the only thing Deathrite Shaman does.
Yeah, and the main deck, not going to see a Reclamation Sage here.
So Chalice is here to stay.
Yep.
That'll make things very difficult for Andrew. Turn all his cards into green shocks. Attack with Nettle Sentinel. Dryad Arbor can't attack in, unfortunately, though, because of that Mishra's Factory.
Well, Nettle Sentinel, well, I suppose the factory has summoning sickness just yet, so it can't pump itself until next turn.
Right. So Cox is on to 16. Andrew draws a card off Elvish Visionary, and we pass. I guess there's still a possibility that Andrew just makes a couple elves, a couple Dryad Arbors, and then can Gaia's Cradle into Craterhoof. He actually could still win here.
If you chain some Visionaries, Cradle into a Craterhoof, you can still convert here. You have a very small number of cards that you're drawing to, but they're very powerful.
Walking Ballista for 1 is going to be the play from Richard. He will shoot down the Elvish Visionary. And then dismembers the Nettle Sentinel. I actually like these plays from Richard.
Yeah, Richard knows that there's a small number of things he can still lose to, and he's just stopping that from happening.
I mean, just think about that last turn. If end step, Andrew fetched up another Dryad Arbor, played Gaia's Cradle, Cradle taps for 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, we're looking at a perfectly fine hand.
Yep.
Which says, okay, you just making Craterhoof is how I lose, so I'm just going to spend a ton of resources here to remove all your creatures.
Mm-hmm. Jessup has a Birchlore Rangers in his hand.
We can get that into play still.
I think we're going to see a Grey Ogre next turn.
What's the morph going to be? It might be Birchlore Ranger.
You got to be careful that you don't get hit by Zombie Cutthroat.
You know, in Limited, that was Green's best morph in the block. Those jokes. I'm confident was what the best morph in blue, green, and black. Card's nice. It's Andrew fetches up the other Dryad Arbor. He is setting up for the possibility of drawing Gaia's Cradle. So, if Richard can go over the top with something like a Endbringer, that should close it out.
Yeah.
Green Sun's Zenith for 1 from Andrew Jessup.
Yeah, that being one of Jessup's better cards. Obviously, he can't resolve most of his spells through Chalice.
All right, he's going for Quirion Ranger.
So I kind of like this. Going forward, once that Mishra's Factory is untapped, it can get in front of Dryad Arbors, and the Ranger lets Jessup just pick up the one that was blocked and continue to chip in. If Richard doesn't have any kind of follow-up, this could theoretically come in for a lot of damage.
Andrew will untap the land, replay a land, and now play a morph.
What could it be?
It's just gonna be this 2/2. No need to unmorph it. That's just bad value. Wasteland from Richard, but here is Endbringer, and this could be the way he closes out the game.
Yep. Yeah, that should end the game in pretty short order.
That first ability, so Endbringer untaps each turn. Tap to deal damage to target creature or player. She can shoot down 2 elves per turn. That Andrew is unlikely to be able to keep pace with this.
Right.
Attacks with Dryad Arbors. Endbringer blocks 1. Andrew will pick up the one that's blocked. 1 damage comes in. Richard down to 11. Replays land per turn. It's Dryad Arbor, but now the Endbringer has made it through Summoning Sickness and can go to work here. He untaps each turn. Eldrazi Mimic from Richard. Played Eye of Ugin this turn, so seemed not having to pay any mana for the Mimic. Cast the Reality Smasher.
You want to go for the Ranger first with the Endbringer so that it can't just pick up these Dryad Arbors. And you also have Wasteland to go for another Dryad Arbor if you want to really limit the potential options for Jessup to do anything, say with the Gaia's Cradle on the following turn.
Believe he overtapped on the Reality Smasher, which is fine. I'll just tap, make 3 for that. I'll just be using the first ability of the Eldrazi Temples. Yeah, Smasher will swing in.
Endbringer targeted an Arbor, Jessup picked it up with the Ranger.
Sure.
Small misstep, but I don't think it's going to cost Richard anything.
No, Wasteland now will hit the other Arbor. So you'd want to start by shooting the Ranger.
Yep. And because the Ranger can only activate once a turn, the Wasteland does get the other Arbor, and Jessup is working with almost nothing here.
Endbringer untaps, upkeep, he'll shoot down the Ranger. Yeah, Dryer from Andrew, that's not going to do it. He has to reveal his morph. It was Birchlore Rangers. But game 1 will go over to Richard Cox, colorless Eldrazi.
Forgot about that rule. But yeah, nothing else it was going to be.
So we see the power of some of these prison elements in Richard Cox's Eldrazi deck. He turned 1 Chalice of the Void on 1. Just a nightmare there for Andrew's deck. He attempts to fight through, but Richard can close out with cards like Walking Ballista and Endbringer, and that is what happens.
Yep.
So looking over the sideboard, start with Andrew. He does have some ways to remove Chalice of the Void. Okay, Abrupt Decay, Thoughtseize, Surgical Extraction, Nissa Vital Force, 2 copies of it. Cabal Therapy, Scavenging Ooze, and Reclamation Sage.
Biggest hit here is going to be that Reclamation Sage. It's easy to find. It answers Chalice. You can go heavier on some other stuff, be it the Discard or the Abrupt Decay, if you really think that Chalice is the only problem. Issue with Abrupt Decay is that it's only for Chalice, but Chalice is so important that you might just have to reach for it anyway.
Yeah, you look at the cards in the Eldrazi deck. I mean, it hits Chalice of the Void, it hits Umezawa's Jite, it does not hit much else.
You can hit Eldrazi Mimic, not terribly exciting. Discard is reasonable just because the colorless Eldrazi deck is so light on actual business. And as we go post sideboard, you see Cox is going to be reaching for that All Is Dust, so being able to hit that before it can be cast is reasonable.
I really like with Andrew being on the play, the idea of going toward Thoughtseize. On the draw, I'm more skeptical.
Yep, I buy that. You could reach for Nissa just because it keeps pace or can outsize a number of the threats out of the Eldrazi deck. That one seems reasonable for that reason. And we go over to Richard's side, 4 Leyline of the Void, 4 Thorn of Amethyst, 2 Warping Whale, 2 Sorceress Spyglass, 2 Ratchet Bomb, and an All Is Dust. So you're just going to look at things that kill creatures. Ratchet Bomb, All Is Dust, those are pretty great. Warping Whale is also fine.
I say Warping Whale will hit most creatures in Andrew's deck.
Yep.
Power Toughness 1 for 2 mana, that's likely good enough.
Countering Sorcery is also pretty significant against Elves.
Right, we're looking at Natural Order and Green Sun Zenith.
And Glimpse of Nature as well.
So if you're just joining us, whether it's on StarCityGames.com or on Twitch.tv, tell you about our Twitch subscription program. So if you're subscribing to us on Twitch TV, you get to participate in subscriber-only chat. You get some custom emoticons as well that you can use, and today you can help us decide the quarterfinals. When we have our final 8 players in the tournament, you will get to vote on the players and decks you'd like to see. This is available to all subscribers, and it's only $4.99 a month. You can sign up over on our Twitch page if you're not already there when you're watching. It's twitch.tv/SCGTour.
This being the Legacy Open, good chance you see some weird ones in the top 8.
Yeah, and we just got to say, last time we had our Legacy Open, we're saying be responsible with your votes. Last time we got the enjoyment of watching Mono Red sneak attack on the play against 12 post.
So I'm going to go to bat. I mean, you won't hear me do this often, but I'm going to go to bat for Chad here. The thing about watching that matchup is it's going to be over so quickly that you get to see another match. It's almost guaranteed.
It was the last match to finish.
That's just efficient. Hey, you know, it was just a by numbers. It's not perfect. It didn't work out.
You have the right to vote, but it's an informed voting.
The worst thing you can vote for is a bad matchup that's going to take a long time. I'm going to say that.
By the way, it was 2-0. The Mono Red sneak attack player won, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, kind of a foregone conclusion.
Candelabras and no interaction didn't beat Blood Moon.
I long tap my mountains.
Yep.
Tap them again. Still have red mana. Your turn.
That was the one basic forest and a couple Croson grips.
Candelabra was pretty reasonable at the time it was printed. The idea was you could tap your plateau to untap your bayou.
Just switch up some colors. That was okay. Both players are going to head to 6. Now, Andrew Jessup, you mentioned it, really the month he's having. The youngest of the metagame gurus. 10 open top 8s, 2 wins. He's the younger of the Jessup brothers. And one with Sultai energy.
As he'll tell you, the better of the Jessup brothers.
As both of them will tell you.
That's true. There seems to be a consensus. 10 open top 8s, 2 wins. One of them, week 1 Ixalan standard. Previously, week 1 Ether Revolt standard?
Yeah, both his wins are in week 1s of new standards, and that's a really impressive thing in itself. Went 2 weeks ago in Charlotte, tried to go back-to-back, made it all the way to the semifinals with Grixis Death's Shadow.
Apologies, I think it was actually Amonkhet standard. I was close.
Okay.
One of those ones. Sixes
for both players. Andrew will be on the play again. I hit turn 1 Chalice on my card. I think that's all Card's getting pretty full here. What do we have? 15 squares marked without a bingo. So I only have 10 left.
Yeah, I got 14 over here. Also no bingos. Once again, Jessup leads with Nettle Sentinel. Not the most inspiring start, though turn 2 is when things tend to get wacky from the Elves deck.
And there's no Chalice just yet from Eldrazi. It's going to be a turn 1 Eldrazi Mimic from Richard.
Off of Eldrazi Temple. That's reminiscent of Eldrazi in Modern.
Oh, it's nice. Andrew, no second land, plays Heritage Druid. Now, might look like he is stuck on mana. With a second land, he might have had a very explosive turn 2 there. He'll still have a great turn 3. Or would have if Richard didn't have this Chalice of the Void again. So this time he didn't have the Simian Spirit Guide to power down on turn 1. What you like to see the Elf deck do in this matchup would be, well, without a Chalice, would be to make a third 1-drop here and then really just cast his whole hand. The Chalice of the Void on 1 against Andrew's 1-lander is going to play really strongly, though. I don't know if he can cast a single thing.
Chalice of the Void, the card singularly responsible for the most turn 2 wins in the modern era of Magic.
Yeah, there's this dynamic that when the bigger your card set gets, players have to play cards that are cheaper and cheaper because games get quicker. And as that happens, you see in Legacy, so many 1-mana cards get played. You have to compete. And that just makes Chalice of the Void get better and better. Yeah.
Follow-up for Richard is Ratchet Bomb. That's going to clear away what little Jessup has going for him.
Yeah, and there's even some extra things. Andrew had drawn Green Sun Zenith. You can often get Dryad Arbor with that, but once again, if X equals 0, that means it's a 1-mana spell. And now Richard, this is the power of the Eldrazi deck. He closes quickly. It's Reality Smasher and Mimic for 10. Andrew throws something into the Chalice.
Is it a 1-turn clock or a 2-turn clock?
It looks like it might be a 1. Here's something big. 2 Spirit Guides. It's going to be Walking Ballista. for 3, and that'll do it. Richard Cox, a 2-0 winner here. He'll move to 9-2.